Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the HR and Payroll 2.0 podcast. I'm Pete Tiliakis, and as always, I'm joined by the legendary Julie Fernandez. Welcome, Julie.
Thanks, Pete. And I think we're going into the vet series today. I'm so excited.
Yes. I'm stoked, man. This is a gentleman I have been, I admire, and I have been really wanting to have come on for a while now. I was on his show, The Strategic Veteran. I'm super excited. A veteran himself, a combat veteran, no less. Thank you so much for your service. A veteran advocate. I mean, somebody who just is laying it out there. An entrepreneur, an AI futurist, an AI executive. Just so dynamic, so many hats. Mr. Adam Peters, thank you so much for joining us here, man.
Yo, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
It's really cool to hear that stuff about yourself from somebody else.
I know. You made me sound so amazing on the show. I was like, oh, wow, that's me.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, you've accomplished so much, man. And I don't know how people aren't just drawn to your energy and your positivity, and what you're doing for veterans just touches my heart. And I know, all the work that I try to do with Hire Heroes, we need more of you. We need more of you to reach out to that audience. And I just want to tell your story and talk about all the cool things you're doing, man.
Well, let's do it, man.
Yeah.
Hey, so
all
maybe to get into that, Adam, we could have you start just by telling us a little bit what led you to a career in the military, and how did you get where you're at?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in southern Indiana, which there's nothing there still to this day. It's all farm towns, and I was bullied a lot as a kid. I really think back, I really only had one true childhood best friend. In fact, he was just here this past weekend, hanging out with me on his way back to the UK to pick up his family since their visas finally got granted. But for me, I just knew there was a bigger world out there, and the Army was the way out. I did enough in school to keep my grades up to play sports. I was a halfway decent athlete, but let's be honest, I'm in a 2A high school. Like, nobody's coming to recruit me for sports. And so, the recruiter got me, and I've actually been thinking a lot about this lately. Why did he get me? I think he got me because I've got this travel bug. So when he said, you're going to be PCS'd every 2 or 3 years, I was like, man, I'm in. Like, let me do that. Let me go see the world. Turns out my career didn't really go that way. I only had 2 duty stations, and I went to Iraq and Afghanistan a lot. But nonetheless, that's how I ended up in the military. And I was a career guy until it got cut short after almost 13 years. Ended up with a bunch of injuries from going to war so much, and couldn't do it anymore. And so was medically retired in 2015. Spent a long time in what I call the transition hole, about 8.5 years, and through Heroic Hearts Project and ayahuasca, crawled out of that hole and started everything that Pete has already mentioned here that I do now.
Man, I love it, dude. And what an experience. I hate that you were medically discharged. I imagine you probably would have stayed in the military.
Would have. Yeah, I was going to go to 22. So this
Yeah.
past June would have been my actual true retirement date. I would have hit 22 years, and then I would have got out. But nonetheless, here we are.
Yeah.
So plans change.
How many tours did you do in Iraq and Afghanistan?
So I did 3 in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. So from late 2004, like December 2004, all the way to my last one, I would have gotten home like December 31st, like New Year's Eve of 2012.
Wow. So you were really there from the very beginning, that first surge.
More or less. Yeah. I mean, I remember the surge well, 07 to 09, putting a lot of people who probably shouldn't have been in the Army, just boasting numbers. We were losing dudes left and right. I was there for all of it. My first deployment was to the Tikrit Mosul area. From there, I went on my second one way out west on the Jordan and Syrian border. We called it Arupa, but we were responsible for all of that battle space. I actually took care of some of your Marines that deployment. Then my third one was in Muhammadiyah, Lusafia, Qadisiyah, the Iron Triangle of Baghdad. And then my fourth one, so I was with the ACO 123. We were out in the Horn of Panjwai in Afghanistan, which is, for those who don't know, the birthplace of the Taliban. And we were, at the time in 2012, we had the most SIGACs the entire deployment in country. So we were pretty busy then too. I tell people all the time, I did 3 to Iraq, and those progressively got kind of just more boring and dull as Iraq went, if you paid attention to it. But Afghanistan was so bad, it overshadows my other three. I really don't remember a lot. I mean, plus we're talking at this point, 20 years since my first deployment and 13 years since my last deployment. So there's a big discrepancy there, but Afghanistan for sure overshadows a lot of the other deployments.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, man. I mean, I have plenty of friends that went to the Gulf War, and Afghanistan, and all of that, right? And it's just crazy, the stuff that the learnings from '04 to 2012 were so, I mean, just from '04 to '05 were immense. I know for the Marines, there was a lot of that, Vietnam War era stuff we were still doing that just wasn't going to work in close quarters, and the marshaling and policing that we were being put in position to do. So it's just amazing, the learning in that time frame. It really is.
It was crazy to see how all the TTPs changed and just everything from, I was around for command wire IEDs, then remote net IEDs, then pressure plate IEDs, and what were the shape charge ones? I forget what they called them, but those were devastating, right? I saw all of that stuff.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for what you did, man. I'm sorry. I know what it's like, but I appreciate that fact that you've come through that and learned from that, and obviously are using it to do good. And I think that's so amazing.
You're talking about the evolution, of the military, right? And our military capabilities over the course of your career. And I just think, not having that military background myself, that's what people who are dealing with AI feel like today. It's man, what I did 8 years ago is so night and day different that, that it feels like going to war with new tools, right?
Julie, what I think what we're saying there kind of between the lines is you've got to fail fast. And that's what I know that's what we did in the Marines. I'm certain that's what they did in the Army. I mean, if we're learning on the go and changing our practices on the go. And I wish more companies were agile like that, because now it's survival in this technology age. I mean, Adam, you must kind of see that correlation in doing what you do in AI and in business and being in the military. I think that it stands out to me for sure.
Yeah, 100%, man. We built our whole business on it with All Set Technologies, trying to bring companies AI first. It's here. It's as dumb as it's ever going to be. There's no use fighting it, because it's fundamentally going to change the landscape of society. And to your point, Julie, I don't think it's an accident that I ended up in the AI space when it's so closely related to, it's true. Fail fast. It's overwhelming. You have to separate the signal from the noise. What's valid, what's relevant, because AI is changing pretty much on an hourly basis right now. ChatGPT-5 just came out yesterday. Been playing with that this morning. Wow, like really cool. So it's hard to keep up, but I guess I'm built for it.
I think it's safe to say, I mean, Julie, we've talked about this on here before. I mean, I've used Delta Airlines as a great example. 10 or more years ago, I remember the CEO saying, "We're a technology company. We're going to be a technology company." And that showed in their experience, right, with their mobile app. I mean, I think Chick-fil-A's done a great job there. Kind of shamelessly plugging the Atlanta businesses, but really, everybody's a technology company now. And if you're not, I don't know how you're gonna remain in business. And so you've got to start thinking like a technology company, and you've got to be able to fail fast and iterate quickly.
Well, and listen to our listeners, HR and payroll folks, when you hear a series like this, put on your boots, for goodness sakes, and dig in, and get into the whole groove of failing fast and accepting the fact that stuff has changed.
Yeah,
and we got to adapt.
Yeah.
I love the fail fast mentality, because to me, it's not true failure. It's like it's the price of admission to learn lessons I couldn't have learned any other way. And I think that there's an important distinction. Like, we should change the word from failure to just learning lessons you have to learn in order to move forward.
Win or learn, for sure.
Yeah.
So Adam, tell me about your transition experience, because I know you had a bit of angst. I've read that you even got lost a lot of weight during that time frame and things on some of the podcasts you've been on, and just like how you got to this point where you have this passion you do about fixing what we all know is broken, and that is the military transition process.
This is your transition hole, right?
Yeah,
that's what you called it.
So
how did you get there?
I'll try to give you the abbreviated version. So I was medically retired in November of 2015. It was probably, I don't even know what day of the week it was, but I just remember going back to my apartment at lunchtime after I'd picked up my DD-214, my retirement certificate, and just that feeling of, I'm supposed to be back for formation, like right now normally. And just like the complete loss of structure, identity, everything, So I call it a false transition, man, because I did what TAP suggested. I leveraged the GI Bill. I went to flight school. I'm a commercial pilot, have CFI, all that good stuff. Went on, used Voc Rehab to get my degree in business and psychology from a choose your own adventure school. And then I entered corporate America 4 years later in the insurance industry, which is a terrible industry, and I hate it. I shouldn't say that because there are good people in that industry actually doing good work, but I got on the scummy side selling final expense to seniors. So I was selling an intangible product to the poorest 1/3 of Americans in rural Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Florida. So it wasn't easy going for me. Really quickly went broke because it was very much a system where they want to get you in almost like a kind of an MLM scam, right? Where an agent brings you in, you write business, he takes a percentage of your business, he gets more commission, and you do the same thing kind of deal. And I just went broke, man. Nobody told me about chargebacks. Nobody told me how all of that stuff worked, how to massage a book of business, how to save a premium from falling off your book of business until it was too late. In fact, there's even tricks where you don't even pay the insurance company back on the advances that you get, and they never come after you for it. And nobody taught me any of that stuff. It was like literally start knocking these doors and selling policies. And I left that. I went to work from home health insurance sales. That was going well, not nearly as lucrative, but then they turned my leads off for 10 days in a row. So no lead money. And you know how on a sales cycle like that, that's like, I'm not going to make money for a couple of months now.
So you must have a health and annuities license then.
I did. I let it all lapse.
Okay.
I'm not going back, man. And there's several people out there, Julie Ison, who keeps trying to recruit me back into the world.
I'm thinking here it comes. He's going to be in the benefits.
I was.
He's already getting benefits. Yeah.
And I did. I had it all, man. I had life and health. I had Medicare, Medicaid. I had property and casualty. I had all of them. I was working on Series 6, 63, and 7, all that stuff. But after the work from home deal didn't pan out, I got fed up, man. And I think this is something I tell vets to do today. As an example, I printed off like 15 copies of my resume, and I just drove around Columbia, South Carolina to all the big box property and casualty insurance stores, walked in, asked for, the owner or whoever managed the office and said, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm qualified to do. I'm looking for a job. Will you hire me?" I ended up with like 4 or 5 job offers that day. I chose an all-state agency for a lot of reasons that never happened. Long story short, I left that gig when I got stiffed on some commissions, and I was the only agent in the office producing. From there I haven't been in corporate America since. I made the decision that I was just done trying to do that. I started looking into the world of building a digital business and becoming an entrepreneur. To satiate that need to travel and not be in one space for too long or whatever. But I was still struggling, man. And I probably struggled for another 2 years after that. The typical veteran stuff, like no purpose, no identity. I don't know who I am. Constant thoughts of, I owned a Harley at the time. So, if I run this thing into a tree at 120, it's all over. It goes away. I don't have to deal with this anymore. I was going back to flight school to get the CFI thing done. I was just going to have a career in aviation because, let's be honest, aviation is a pretty lucrative career. I just didn't like, relying on a student for a paycheck and kind of that whole gig. But I had acquiesced to the fact that that's what my life was going to be. A week before my check ride to get my instructor license, I tore my bicep tendon in my left arm. And it's relevant because when you're a CFI, that check ride's done in the right seat, which means you work the throttle with your left arm.
Yeah.
So I ended up in the sod farm, listening to books and podcasts, cutting grass for 8 hours a day. Honestly, it was a really good job because it paid $1,000 a week after tax. So, and I had zero responsibility and nobody messed with me.
Nice.
I was just show up at 7 a.m, get a mower, get an assignment, go mow that, take your required breaks, your lunch. At 3:30, you're done. Go home. If you want 2 hours of overtime, you could work the 2 hours of overtime. Through that, I discovered the Sean Ryan show, and
nice.
I heard about
good show.
His experience with ibogaine and 5-MeO DMT, and I immediately started to pursue that. But here's the caveat. I don't know if I've actually said this publicly or not.
Yeah.
When I started looking into that, I got super discouraged and fell even further down that transition hole because a lot of the nonprofits that sponsor veterans to go do those things cater to special operations forces. And I
Yeah.
was just a conventional guy, so I was automatically disqualified. So about 3 months into that whole process, I would say HHP reached out to me, accepted me. And then in July of 2023, I went and had my first ayahuasca retreat, and it changed my whole entire life. I went down there a broken man at 321 pounds, and I came back, and now I've lost 100 pounds. I've built everything that you see, and I genuinely have a new outlook on life.
Yeah. Wow. It's life-saving,
Awesome.
man.
It
There's so
really
much there.
is.
There's so much there to talk about. I mean, first, I want to table this a little bit because I think we could spend a whole hour on ayahuasca and natural resources. But I think one of the things that I think I saw, and maybe you probably saw it more than me, is that we threw pills at our veterans when they're going to the VA, right? I mean, they do it to all of us, right? To just throw a pill at something. And a lot of times those pills are the very things that make people do stupid stuff, right? And have hallucinations and whatever, and cause other problems mentally for them. And so I would love it for our government to really lean into more holistics like ayahuasca and weed and other stuff that can, psilocybin and other things that can absolutely help people out with PTSD and other traumas. But just kind of come back to that experience, man. Like I find that a lot of times veterans that struggle in those ways, it's belonging that they're really wanting. They don't have that purpose anymore. They don't have that brotherhood. They don't have that, or sisterhood. They don't have that place to be. You know what I mean? It's almost kind of like recidivism, right? You see it a little bit with prisoners who get like, well, I don't really fit in out here, man. I'm just better off back where my family is, and my family's in prison, you know, like. And it's not to say that's the same thing, but there is a belonging to both of those that I find. Do you think that's the case for you?
Yeah, man, through my podcast, and you've been on the show, and so you know how it works. I started analyzing all the transcripts, and what I realized is there's three main drivers of all of this. It's loss of identity, loss of purpose, and like you're talking about, loss of community or network. And the identity one's really easy to explain. Just look at how the military recruits people, typically young, from broken homes, from poorer parts of the United States. I'm not saying this is not the whole case. It's not a blanket statement, but if you look into it, you'll really see.
Yeah.
So, somebody like me
and gets remarkable people. People.
100%. And, I want to preface all of this by saying I love the United States Army. I am so grateful that I joined. I'm grateful for my experiences with the Army. I'm not bad-mouthing anything about my experience or my career. I wouldn't change a thing about it. I just want to see some things done differently on the way out, right? Yeah. So I think people confuse that often, but look at me, man. I joined at 17, spent a year on the delayed entry program. So I have the authority of my parents because I respect my parents, right? And I go straight from that to the authority of the United States Army. And I never have that 4 years of college like a lot of people do to really kind of lack that authority and kind of develop my own identity, meeting people from other parts of the country or whatever that experience is like. I didn't have a college experience till I was 30. So, it's hard for me, but from 17 to 30, all I knew was the military. So that becomes my identity, the best infantryman in support of the global war on terror for the United States Army that I could be. So no wonder I'm just left standing there with my dick in my hand.
And remember, there's no individuals.
Yeah.
It's a team. Yeah.
Right. And so the day I retire, it's like, no wonder I don't have a clue what to do because I don't even know who I am as a person. Right. Yeah. And then purpose, I think the best way to sum up what our purpose is in the military, it's to serve something bigger than ourselves. Obviously, we all have that in common, whether we want to admit it or realize it or not. And so that's just gone. You're just alone. Yeah. You don't have your brothers and sisters to your left and right. You're not going to formations. You're not doing, all of the things. So what is your purpose now? And then, network and community, let's be honest, there's nothing like a platoon of infantry guys or, a platoon of Marines or Air Force or whatever their nomenclature for it is. And it's unique. It doesn't matter where you go across the country. You just fit right into that community when you're PCS, when you go on a deployment or whatever. But then you get out and you are so much different from your civilian counterparts. You don't speak their language. You talk in a lot of acronyms because that's been your whole life and you understand what they mean. Now suddenly you're getting frustrated because you have to explain these things to people when you talk. And nobody teaches you how to actually network outside of the military as you're getting out or while you're even in. And so those are the three main things, I think, brother. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it does. I mean, I think everybody struggles in their own way. It feels like coming out of the military. And I don't know that I think there are things the government could do to help. Because I think things get a little over romanticized, right? Hey, you've got these great skills. Everyone's out there looking for them. You'll find each other, do a good resume, go through this class. Here you go. And that's not exactly the case. The problem is they're both kind of talking past each other is what I find. The veterans don't think that they rate, or what we would say rate, right? Don't feel that they don't have the confidence in what they're bringing to the table because I don't know that system or this company's way. But in reality, they have these ridiculously great, emotional skills and leadership skills and other ways that they can quickly learn a technology and rise above pretty much everybody in the organization very easily.
Team building and putting complementary skills together, which is no small task for people that are in the the private sectors. That like we have to do this all the time, and we're not as well built or as well equipped or as well trained. Yeah, it's live or die in the military.
Well, how many people never get any leadership training? They just get put in charge on the front lines, and that's happening so much more now in our workforce, where folks are getting promoted to be managers, and they have no experience actually leading anyone. They just know how to do the thing the most at the company.
And I see this now, and this is probably an unpopular opinion. I've said this publicly, but I think another big part of it is when we get out and we land in these spots, now we're trying to lead in rooms where mediocrity is the standard and people don't want to be led. And that's really, I think that's what contributes to a lot of the struggle. I will put some of the onus back on the veteran themselves, because the TAP program is priming people, like you said, all these high leverage skills. You're a veteran. Everybody's going to want to hire you. You should have no trouble making six figures. Congratulations, you're successful. So now they're being primed to say, okay, I should be able to fit into this role. However, that's not true, man. You wouldn't take Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk and put them in charge of an infantry company right now and say, okay, don't get anybody killed.
Yeah, good luck.
They're going to get everybody killed because they don't know how it operates. And you're the same way going into a company. You don't know how that company's systems operates. So you probably don't have confidence in your leadership abilities. But what you do have is those high leverage skills that's going to make you fly up that chain exponentially faster than your civilian counterparts. And I think the veteran themselves needs to take a step back, humble themselves a little bit, spend a month, 2, 3, 6, whatever it takes to learn those systems, and then outshine your civilian counterparts to land the role that you want. I don't know. That's kind of my take on it, but I really do. I see both sides of the coin. I think we're both, the civilian companies and the veteran are both playing a part in this.
I hope that folks hear too frustrations. It's my brain just functions in creating parallels that I relate to that fit what you're saying in the world and the experience of a vet that I don't have. But the same frustrations happen in the civilian world with outplacement. This is your big solution for the fact that I'm riffed for my job. And, you're going to go through, like you listed the things that are part of the military placement for the transition hole. And I see all kinds of parallels to other different categories of folks in the workplace that have to be relating to what you say, even if they have no idea what it's like to be in the military.
That's a great point. I think there's, like, we had Eddie Dunn on to talk about what he's doing in his organization. Right. And the point there is like, we could apply the same methodologies and sort of tools to other young people coming out of the high school and mothers re-entering the workforce. There's a lot of underserved or just the whole workforce could really benefit from some of the ideas that he has for how we can help veterans. So
I see that in the work that I do too. I think that's why it resonates with more than just veterans. It's my audience isn't just, obviously that's my primary audience, right? Like, because I am that, but it resonates throughout. I was invited earlier this year to go to the Insurance Sales Leaders podcast. It's a giant podcast.
Yeah.
They now want me to come back and speak at their yearly event next year. Like that kind of stuff, because of my message resonates to everybody. I don't know, man. I just truly enjoy, just sharing the knowledge of teaching people how to live a better life and get in tune with who they are as people, and realize that you don't have to follow somebody else's plan for you.
There it is. I just heard your HR heart, Adam.
There it is.
That's
It's in
it.
there. It's in
I'll
there.
never admit it. I'll never admit it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. But look, so tell me, how did you end up forming the Strategic Veteran, the podcast? You've got, I think you do a little bit of consulting on there too. And then the Stronghold. Tell me about the Stronghold.
So the Stronghold is something I shut down. It was a fail fast moment. I ran it for about 8 months. A lot of people said I should start a community, collect people, put them in there. What I discovered about the community is I'm really good at networking and connecting with people and building relationships. I'm not good at running a community. It's an energy suck for me.
It's always,
it's something in the back of my brain. It's like, I know I need to do more, but like, and this is not egotistical. It's just honest. I was sitting there when I was running that community and I was thinking, like, I don't need to drive engagement in here because I have this figured out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the one who needs this help, and I can't be everything to everyone. So it just didn't work out, but I tried, and it was great for a little bit. I made it up to 200 people. However, nobody was really active in there. It was costing me money, so I shut it down. How did I get into the podcast, man? My whole journey started with one of my very best friends challenged me, like, hey, I know you don't like social media. I know, whatever. I would challenge you to get on LinkedIn and just post every single day about something and engage with 5 people whose content speaks to you. So I was like, what do I have to lose at this point? So I did. I started posting. I think I started posting about personal branding when I didn't know anything about personal branding, then moved to SEO, then moved to UI, UX design. And through doing all of that, I would get people who would reach out to me. And one of my mentors, Kobe Wecker, he's an amazing dude. He had his own SEO agency, has made a lot of money doing that, has since left that, gone out on his own, is killing it. But he messaged me. He's like, hey, man, you seem like a cool dude. I'm a cool dude. You want to have a meeting and let's talk? And that's just how it started. He invited me to his community.
That's kind of how we met.
Yeah, for sure. And I just started like going to his community meetings, and like we would talk about entrepreneurship and like different things that we could be doing. And he really started helping coach me through like how to formulate a plan. And he just said, lean into the veteran thing. So I started trying to lean into that, trying to figure out what it was. And at some point it all clicked, man. It just came together. It was like, I'm tired of losing my buddies to suicide. Some of the best men and women I've ever known in my entire life. I'm tired of going to these toxic Facebook groups where people, say we need to do something to change it, but nobody gets off their ass and does anything about it.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to figure something out. So the content started to evolve. Then Kobe challenged me to reach out to somebody in person and do like an in-person networking day. So I did that, and I met a guy over at Disney Springs. His content spoke to me. It was about email newsletters and how you can make a lot of money doing those. The first 5 minutes of that conversation with him at Disney Springs was, hey, man, you're not the guy that's going to get his message across behind a keyboard. Have you thought about starting a podcast? So I came home after that 6 or 7 hours walking around master class at Disney Springs, and I got started. And dude, it just took off from there. I made Facebook group posts in several veteran groups looking for guests, got my first 15 guests. After that, I have not had to do any kind of outreach to get people on the show. I put out 130 episodes in the first year. And my calendar I still got like 40 people booked to record with.
That's
I have
awesome.
content. I mean, today is August 8th and I have content out till September 20th right now, like
That's
already
awesome.
edited and scheduled to go. And I'll tell you, the podcast doesn't have great download numbers. There's a lot of things that I don't do to market it. But what it has done for me is created so much opportunity. And I can't overemphasize that enough. It's opened so many doors, from being a weekly presenter at Seven Eagle Skill Bridge to, at one point presenting to Allegiant Vets, to speaking at Vet Socials 25 next month, to being a big part of Military Creator Con next April, to you name it, man. It's created opportunity for me.
Yeah, no doubt.
Purpose. It sounds like everything that was in the lost category, right? Your purpose. It links to your identity naturally. You get the networking part of it. I mean, like checked all your boxes.
Right? Learning, therapy, everything.
And that's I think that's why I don't market the podcast, because I'm not here to make a bunch of money on veteran advocacy. Like, some VSOs out there or anything like that. I'm just here to be the guy I didn't have.
Yeah.
And the truth be told, the podcast is super cathartic for me as well. I get to, like our conversation, we've been to some of the same places. I've had people who I was on deployments with and didn't even know it come on the show. And we got to relive some of those experiences and kind of get that out there and just get it off our chests and stuff like that. So it's just incredibly cathartic for me as well. And, I get to build relationships on a daily basis out of doing that. And so it's just fun, man.
I would highly encourage any employers out there to listen to anyone to listen to your podcast, but really employers. I'd love you to see the type of talent that's coming out of the military and just the amazing people and the stuff they've done and accomplished and the skills they have and the places they've been. And the adversity that they've overcome. I think it's really, really fascinating. Just some of the guests. I know I was a guest, but I'm just saying a lot of great people on that show that you highlight. And I think it's just indicative of the phenomenal talent that's in this marketplace and available.
100%, man. So many good dudes and women out there doing so many incredible things.
Yeah. And let's don't forget the spouses, man. This is something that I think more people need to understand. It's a sacrifice to be a military spouse. It is an absolute. They're pulling as much weight as the military veteran sometimes, especially when there's a family involved. There's a lot of unknowns. There's just a lot of ask of those people. And I love that so many of the VSOs include them, especially Hire Heroes. Shout out to those guys. We had Ross Dickman, the CEO, on a few episodes ago, and they do a great job. I've been paired up with some amazing spouses that I've helped, navigate transition as well. And man, there's some great talent in that community as well. So shout out to them.
Yeah, man. Shameless plug here, but like I've been asked to do more for the spouses, and I don't even know how to approach that because I've never been a military spouse. So anybody who's listening, if you have ideas, I'm open. I'm willing to let you use the platform and the brand that I've built to put something together because I do recognize the need for it. I just want people to understand I'm not the guy for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm really good at what I do because I've got the lived experience, but I've never been a military spouse. And let's be honest, I've been married 3 times and divorced 3 times. So it's like, probably not the best guy to talk about that.
It's hard, man.
I can imagine, like I think anybody who has a spouse that works in global payroll we have audiences that are global payroll and your spouse is traveling or deployed, right? The equivalent of deployed all over the place, or some of the consulting or analyst jobs that are like churn and burn media folks that are all over the place. Like those all have enabling spouses that the person who's doing that, deployment and that crazy stuff for their job really needs an anchor on the back. And so I'd just be stunned. Maybe it's not a military spouse that steps up, but maybe there's somebody that hears that's like, man, I know my spouse, I'd be dead in the water in my career without them. And they know how to do this stuff, whether it's for the military or for the media.
Yeah.
100%.
Great talent, though. Great talent. But anyway, I want to talk about what you're doing now, man. First, your AI business. Talk about that, man. What do you guys, I don't know. I can't remember if you just launched it or recently launched it, but tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So Tyler launched probably, I don't know, a year and a half ago. He had 2 other business partners. Things weren't working out. I had fallen into AI and automation to help me do more with the podcast and stuff like that. Just take some stuff because, look, in business, you either have time to invest or money to invest, and I don't have money to invest. I'm bootstrapped off of my retirement and CRSC money, so not a lot of left over after living and some essential tools to pay people to do the things that I'm not good at or I don't want to do. So I fell into AI and automation. I've always been fascinated by AI since ChatGPT came commercially available. It's really cool to see what it can unlock for you, even as shitty as it was back then when it first came out to where it's at now. But the automation stuff, I'm a systems thinker. I like solving problems for people. And that's what I get to do when I'm building an automation is like I get to think through a workflow and triggers and different steps that need to be taken and see how it all works together. So essentially what we do at Allset Technologies is we're trying to get all small to medium-sized, particularly veteran-owned businesses to be AI-first companies. And we do that through, looking at your workflows, identifying your problems and how AI and automation can integrate into those to either save you time, money, or usually both, by taking and returning hours of your time back to you on menial tasks that could just be automated and insert some AI and some human in the loop into them.
Yeah.
But we're expanding our skill sets even more. I'm sure you're familiar with the terms vibe coding and vibe marketing at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm big into that too. I've got some side projects going on. I won't talk about them, but developing a SaaS right now for myself that solves a big problem that I have that I know other
Very
people
cool.
are going to have.
Yeah.
And really kind of bulletproofing our business model by vibe marketing our way to a better website and SEO optimization and ads and you name it, funnels, all of everything.
I love it.
And so what I really enjoy about it, man, is it's another opportunity to help good people.
Yeah.
We get to select who we want to work with through kind of our discovery call, exploratory milestone process, find out if you're a good fit for us, if we're a good fit for you, and really build even more relationships. And what I really genuinely love about it is because AI is so kind of new and it's like the Wild West or a blue ocean, if you want to call it, is a lot of people when they do a call with us and we give them a solution, they're kind of locked into us forever because we did them so right the first time. You know, we solve their biggest problem, which then identifies more problems that they have, which then creates ideas for maybe an automation or AI integration that can solve some other problems that they've now identified. And it just kind of funnels them into our ecosystem forever, which is really cool. And we get to build relationships with these companies.
You know, I just have a backup in case there are folks that are listening, because I know we just glossed right over vibe coding and vibe marketing. And some of us who have 20 somethings struggle enough to figure out how vibe and dating are like synonymous with each other.
Yeah.
So I just thought we should take a minute and say, you know, for those who haven't followed it along closely or were Googling it, you know, at the same time, using AI to help you do the coding and help you do the marketing where that's not your niche, right? And your skill, is it fair?
I think to elaborate on that, Julie, I don't have a technical background at all. I have leveraged AI to teach myself how to read and write HTML, CSS, Tailwind, Python. I have leveraged AI to teach myself everything that I know right now. So the insert vibe, whatever, it's just leveraging AI to teach you how to do something.
It's a lame marketing journalist way of calling, you know, ideation, you know?
Yeah, right.
Self-taught with AI at the wheel, right?
This is this is the future, right? Like taking AI and putting what you want into it and or your ideas and using it to help you do the work so that you can be the creator. I think that's exactly the spirit of what we ought to all be doing with it, you know?
Well, and I want to even further than that. If you watched the GPT launch event yesterday, one of the first things Sam Altman said is he estimates that with GPT-5, we will see our first $1 billion solopreneur companies.
It's incredible.
Look, you have a multi-billionaire at the forefront of AI technology with OpenAI saying that AI is going to create the first billionaire solopreneurs, meaning one person builds $1 billion company by themselves. That's never been possible in all of human history. And that's how serious I take AI, because I absolutely believe it. The CEO of Replit, which is one of those vibe coding tools to build your own SaaS, he says the same thing. He says AI is going to level the playing field for anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur but has no idea where to get started.
Yeah.
He thinks that 80% of the population will have their own businesses.
Interesting. Yeah. Content creation, everything. I
feel like we ought to be betting on horses here. You know, like, are you going to be one of those first solopreneur billionaire guys at it? Because I'll put my chits behind you.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you asked that question, because if you'd asked me that question a year ago, I would have said, no, I don't want to be a billionaire because I don't want the lifestyle that comes with running $1 billion company. But seeing where all these tools are going, I'm not going to rule it out. And technically, I wouldn't be a solopreneur because Tyler is my partner. So, but close enough,
duo,
right? Like,
dynamic duo.
A duo $1 billion company. I mean, it would be cool.
Sorry, to take us back around a little bit, do you think the military's doing enough, or the government, VA, whatever, is doing enough to skill veterans along this lines of being able to really push these
No.
Or are they behind still?
They're still behind.
Yeah.
Look, neither is private sector, neither is
Yeah.
public, saying less
Right.
public sector, right? I mean, like it's the individual's motivation that's going to get you there
I
right
mean,
Yeah.
now.
I think there's something to these skill bridges. I think those are amazing, but let's be honest, those are outside companies coming in and partnering with skill bridge programs. You've
Yeah.
got IVMF, which is incredible. They have some Google cybersecurity, Google AI stuff that veterans can take advantage of, but I don't think DOL, the Department of Labor, and the VA and the third entity DoD aren't doing enough because they
Yeah.
don't care. They're not. I've heard it a million times. My haters will tell me, shut your mouth.
I know.
The military is in the business of training war fighters. They're not in the business of training civilians. And it's like, well, the counter argument to that is your greatest recruiting tool is your nation's veterans. And there's zero incentive for GWAT guys, especially
Yeah.
to, push people into the military. Look how we've handled all of this. The suicide epidemic is out of control, and it's
Yep.
way higher than 22 a day. That's just a small number. It's
Yeah.
more like 50
Yeah.
a day.
You
Yep.
know, I have a curiosity too. Just like is happening in the private sector, folks who have an interest and an inclination to these things are going to approach it from a personal motivation, hobby, whatever perspective as well. And so, the military can say, I prepare and entertain you for this, just like any business will say, I'm training and you're preparing you to do payroll or whatever it is. And we're going to have folks on the side that are driving themselves to figure things out and have
Yeah.
side gigs, micro retire, like all kinds of stuff is happening, whether we, the military or the public sector, likes it or not.
Yeah.
It really is.
Agreed. Yeah. Interesting. So look, Adam, I want to wrap this up with, I want to ask you about your ayahuasca. I think you have invested in a resort or a facility. I mean, I think you had something going on there, right?
Yeah. So the two people who facilitated my first retreat with Heroic Hearts Project, they went out and started their own retreat. And I think it's better. It's got a lot of elements that I really appreciate that make it even more transformational.
Yeah.
They reached out to me in January. And the owner, Jonathan, reached out to me. His message to me was, you're the antidote for how transformational this can be.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in partnering with us and driving veterans, to our offer? And I was like, 1,000%.
Yeah.
It makes it that much easier to talk about ayahuasca, knowing that I implicitly trust these two people and how they're running. So I just got back 2 weeks ago from our first 10 veterans. Took 10 veterans down there, got to lead a cohort down there, all had amazing transformational experiences. And so I didn't have to invest anything but sweat equity, but partnered with them and truly believe in the work that they're doing. And I will probably be involved in this work for the rest of my life.
That's amazing. Can you just explain for the audience, just in layman's terms, even for me too, what ayahuasca is and kind of just to the extent that you can, like what the experience is for you and what the healing sort of is from that?
So ayahuasca is a brew of two plants, the ayahuasca vine, which is the MMO inhibitor, and the chacruna leaf, which is the DMT. And it's boiled together in a ceremoniously fashion, and it takes days to actually make it. And then you have ceremonies, 3, 4, sometimes 5 ceremonies. And it's very, very spiritual, very sacred and kind of ancient. We do this with the Shipibo people. The Shipibo people, best I can tell, have been doing this for like over 1,000 years. They live in a remote area in the Amazon jungle. And it's a psychedelic, but it's so much more than that. I don't even know if I tried. There's not words to really explain what the experience is. And even if I tried, like when I do this with my groups of people that have the experience, there's just not words to really accurately portray what you experience and what you go through. So the best way for me to talk about this is, what did it do for me? The two biggest things it did for me was it taught me how to love and respect myself, but also it taught me that I can change my internal monologue, and I am capable of so much more than anyone or myself has ever given me credit for. It also, in a way, made me feel very connected to this earth, to a spiritual sense of God. In fact, connected me to God and to my fellow human beings, man. And it's just encouraged me to. My whole purpose in life is to be the best, most genuine, authentic human that I can be to everybody that I come in contact with, and that's that's kind of the crux of what it did for me. It's done so much more. It's revealed things about myself and some traumas from childhood that I, completely had just blacked out of my life and didn't understand where these personality flaws were coming from. It's so much. We could do an entire day long podcast on this stuff, but in a nutshell, that's kind of what you can expect with this. It's hard work, man. It's not another thrill-seeking adventure escape. Like, you're going to have a bad time if you're just looking for the next high or chasing the next high. It's going to punish you, and it's going to punish you in a bad way, and you're not going to enjoy it. And, it is hard work, man. It's hard to go for a week and isolate yourself and digitally detox and eat very, very clean, or in my case, starve. I fasted this last retreat for 4 days, and it's hard to sit in a Native American sweat lodge for 4 doors, about an hour, and really ridiculous, and then go jump in a cold river. It's hard to sit with yourself and your thoughts and all of these things that come up after you take the medicine, even before you take the medicine. But it makes you a better person. I really genuinely believe, my philosophy is all great growth comes on the other side of monumental challenge. And this is one of those monumental challenges.
Wow. Well, congratulations, man. I mean, I've heard so many good things from friends that I know have done it. And I've heard incredible stories of ayahuasca and even psilocybin helping veterans with PTSD and just some things like that. So, man, what do you think the chances that we'll ever have it here in America? I don't know. I mean, do you think there's hope?
I know Heroic Hearts Project has got the blessing they're doing their own ayahuasca and psilocybin retreats in Oregon. I know Colorado, I think, has something going on. I know there's a place here in Orlando. I don't believe in it in the States. I also am very attached to the ritual and the ceremony that goes with it. I really think that that's a big, big, big part of it. And I will never do it in the United States, and I won't ever encourage anybody who comes to me for information about it to do it in the United States, particularly because I am partnered with Amakaya, and I know you can go and have a pleasant experience. It's affordable. You're getting the right things out of it. So that's kind of my stance on it. It also doesn't grow here. So now we have to import it. And I'm not about that, man.
It'll get commercialized here too. I would just love to see the United States government maybe engage it for veterans.
100%. And I'm all for that, brother. I really am.
Yeah. Well, anything. And so we're so over dependent as a society on just masking things. And what you're talking about is revealing and opening up and uncovering and letting go, replacing
we do it, and we do the pill thing to veterans, just sort of at scale. You know what I mean? Just here, go away, take a pill. You'll be fine.
Say everywhere,
true,
beyond.
True.
And what they don't tell you is those mental health meds that they put you on. It could take up to 9 years to find the right, combination. I'm not about that either. No.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, listen, man, you've lived a remarkable life already, and you're doing exactly what you aim to do, man. Just being a great human and helping out your brothers and sisters in the world. So we appreciate you, man. Thank you for your service. Thank you for what you're doing. We're rooting for you. I want to see what you can do with your AI. I may come to you for some things I want to do with my business. So maybe I'll be a customer.
We could learn. We could learn a few things.
We appreciate you. Look, man, how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way? I'll throw all your links out, but what's the best way you can get in touch with you?
Yeah, man. The best way, probably LinkedIn DMs is probably the easiest way. That's my main platform. In fact, it's pretty much the only platform. I don't have a following on any other platform, or my website, thestrategicveteran.com. Don't judge me. It's out of date. I'm one-man operation right now. So that's one of the projects I'm vibe marketing my way through right now. Is teaching myself how to update my website with Claude Code.
Well, I got a good developer for you if you need one, man. He's a good guy. So I'll get you hooked up if you need that.
But yeah, my website and LinkedIn is the best way to get in touch with me. And please tune into the podcast, share it with people. I don't want anything out of the podcast other than it to reach the right people and people. I created it with the idea that, like, when I was in my darkest place, scrolling and watching nothing but YouTube, if I would have saw a show like mine and seen that I wasn't alone in what I was going through, it would have helped me snap out of that faster. That's the only ask I've got, man, is just share the podcast with everybody. And if you know a veteran who's struggling, look, Pete will tell you, I answer all of my DMs. I don't have a virtual assistant. I'm a real human who has real problems just like everybody else. And I am approachable. I still I give so much of my time to doing this.
Yeah, likewise. If I can ever help, you can reach out to me. But Adam, your gift is your authenticity, my friend.
That's right.
It's rare.
The labor of love. You just can't miss it. It shines bright.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Listen, to wrap this up, I just want to thank everyone. Thank you, Adam, for joining us. Julie, thank you as well. Thank you to the audience. And look, as we always say, the best way to help us out here at the show is subscribe, share, like, comment, all that. All the engagement helps us out. And just know we got a lot in store coming for you in 2026. And we hope you stick and stay with us. So we will see you guys next time.